Three asset management firms, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, currently manage $30 trillion in assets. This pool of fiduciary capital, largely drawn from American 401k accounts, represents a sum larger than the annual economic output of the entire United States. These firms use that massive capital to secure controlling proxy votes across thousands of publicly traded companies. This distributed corporate control allows them to dictate board appointments and executive strategy without reaching the specific ownership thresholds that would trigger federal insider oversight or tax liabilities. This concentrated financial power allegedly functions as the apex of a global racketeering enterprise. According to former Goldman Sachs director Reynaldo Aguiar Marcano, this network converged with international narco-terrorist organizations, including the Venezuelan Cartel de los Soles, led by Diosdado Cabello. These underground networks allegedly rely on the financial aggregation system to protect a global trade in stolen intellectual property. When the adversary controls the proxy votes of the world's largest corporations and coordinates with state-sponsored intelligence, traditional regulatory bodies like the SEC find themselves outmatched by the sheer scale of the capital involved. On the ground, the enterprise utilizes compromised municipal courts to suppress dissent. By leveraging Tyler Technologies, the digital infrastructure provider for state court records, local actors can manipulate dockets and generate conflicting legal orders. This compartmentalizes their actions, making it nearly impossible for federal observers to track judicial corruption in real time. At the federal level, the enterprise creates a defensive shield through an alumni pipeline. Tier 1 law firms representing these financial aggregators specifically recruit former high-ranking Department of Justice officials. These partners use their deep institutional knowledge to initiate back-channel communications with federal agents, effectively misdirecting or suppressing FBI investigations into the network's wire fraud and corporate espionage. The result is a total legal vacuum. Traditional whistleblowing fails because the adversary controls both the local digital evidence and the federal investigators who would normally protect the reporter. After being targeted by this surveillance network, former Google engineer Reynaldo Aguiar Marcano applied the principles of systems architecture to his defense. He recognized that the legal system operates on the same conditional logic found in software code, simple if-then statements. Marcano bypassed the compromised local courts and filed 50 foundational patents directly with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. This created an immutable, globally broadcast ledger of his inventions and his RICO allegations that the network could not delete from a local server. He then served formal legal notices to over 400 intellectual property partners at the very law firms shielding the enterprise. These notices detailed his patent applications and the specific crimes committed by their corporate clients. This created a legal paradox. If the attorneys acknowledge the notice, their corporate clients are legally on notice regarding their reliance on stolen IP, exposing them to catastrophic commercial litigation. If they universally ignore the notice, their collective silence proves a concert of the minds, the exact evidence needed for a coordinated RICO conspiracy. By treating the legal system as a programmable network, he trapped the enterprise's elite representation in a liability cage, where every possible response led to systemic failure. In software engineering, a single point of failure is a vulnerability. Marcano knew a single legal notice could be buried, so he scaled the attack to overwhelm the network's ability to suppress the information. He formatted his evidence into a 120-page academic article for commentary and submitted it to 450 law journals across the country. The cost was only $3 per submission. Embedded in the article was an execution protocol based on Ethics Rule 8.3. This rule legally mandates that any attorney who gains knowledge of fraud compromising the integrity of the courts must report it to authorities. Failing to do so can result in immediate disbarment. For an investment of $3,000, Marcano forced over 10,000 law professors, editors, and students to become involuntary whistleblowers. They could not remain silent without risking their future in the legal profession. He successfully automated the whistleblowing process. By distributing the truth across thousands of independent actors, he ensured the evidence was too widespread for any single organization to kill. Marcano then moved to the final escalation, formally submitting the distributed evidence to the Securities and Exchange Commission. He delivered the same package to the Department of Justice's newly formed anti-fraud task force. This ensured that the specific federal prosecutors tasked with stopping corruption now had the same knowledge as the thousands of law students across the country. To close the loop, he used the conductor of the train concept. He gathered the delivery receipts from every federal and academic entity that received his files and forwarded that proof directly back to the local actors who had targeted him. He specifically targeted a local IP lawyer who lives directly across the street from a central figure in the enterprise, former FBI Director Robert Mueller. This created a checkmate scenario. The local enforcers realized that their localized liability bubble had burst. They were now operating under the gaze of a fully informed federal and academic legal system. Chief executive officers like Larry Fink utilize $30 trillion in capital and a brute force network of surveillance to maintain their institutional control. Marcano's counterattack demonstrates the power of applying network theory to bureaucratic corruption. By mapping the logical interdependencies of the law, a single engineer created a system of accountability that capital cannot buy off. In the modern, hyper-connected world, strategic institutional control is vulnerable to the strategic distribution of truth. When the truth is properly networked, a corrupt system is forced to buckle under its own weight.